Welcome to Key Digital University. Today, we're going to learn all about the KD-IP922 and KD-IP822 encoders and decoders. Let's take a look.
So let's jump in to the KD-IP922 and KD-IP822 systems of our product family. So the KD-IP922 is a fully loaded encoder-decoder system supporting HDMI, external audio and audio over HDMI. The audio has preamp functionality of volume control, latency adjustments, etc., etc. You could do video walls up to 16 by 16. There's 3 control ports for compass control built in, or the ability for any control system to interface with our system over a single unit on any of those 3 ports. There's USB and for KVM applications. The encoder has a host USB B port, and the decoder has 2 USB A ports for your devices. Both are PoE powered, and there is a power supply in the box. And they're using compression, Motion JPEG 2000. You could see the resultant bandwidths of your streams, your per encoder, when you're calculating your bandwidth. We'll go over that in the integration tools section of the videos. And because it is Motion JPEG 2000, you're looking at no more than 40 milliseconds latency at 4K. And we've had the IP922 for approximately 4 years at the time of recording this video. That makes it a 2015 release. And the IP822s are now being released here in 2019 for those applications where they love the feature set of the 922, love the system itself. However, in order to meet a better price point, Key Digital was able to streamline the connectivity in some of the feature set. And the beautiful thing is that you are able to mix and match IP922 encoders and decoders with IP822 encoders and decoders within the same system in order to optimize the price point and your feature set of the system. So because that was our approach chronologically, we'd like to begin by going over the key features of the KD-IP922 system first. So again, being that it's AV over IP, you could build your fully custom system build. You don't have to abide by the typical 4x4, 8x8 cookie cutter type symmetrical systems, as we call them. We've discussed some of these features here just a moment ago. There is audio de-embedding with DSP or preamp. We refer to it both ways throughout the slides and sometimes on our website. This system does support 4K at a maximum of 10.2 gigabits per second. So it can do your 4K 24, 25, 30 frames at 444, but your 4K 60 is limited to 420 chroma subsampling. So let's go ahead and look closer at these products and what each connection point does for us when we are building our systems. So firstly, on the IP922 ENC, there are HDMI pass-through ports. So both the encoder and the decoder, you will see a second HDMI port. On the encoder, it's an HDMI pass-through, so that you'll be able to take your HDMI source and view it on a local monitor latency-free. Now, with the IP922 system, the latency, again, no more than 40 milliseconds, and that's actually negligible for audio purposes and even for the purposes of using a keyboard and mouse, for example. 40 milliseconds is something that most humans will not detect at all, but it is nice to have that local monitor there, just depending on your application, and then that source can be broadcast into the entire system, of course, through the network port. On the IP922 decoder, that secondary HDMI port is a local input. So your 922 DEC is essentially a 2x1 switch where you're able to toggle between the local HDMI input for a local source or the global feed through the network on the IP input. So imagine, let's say, a house of worship where in a Bible study room, they can use it as overflow to view what's happening in the main congregation hall, or if they are doing a Bible study, they could switch this decoder over to that local input. Now, that local input does not have the ability to be broadcast as a source through the AV over IP system there. It's just for localized viewing only on that output. Each IP922 encoder and IP922 decoder have 6-pin balanced, unbalanced analog audio de-embed ports that you could use as balanced, left plus, left minus and ground, right plus, right minus and ground, or unbalanced, just using the positive pin and ground for each of your left and right stereo signals. And those ports have a plethora of features like audio de-embedding, volume control, where you can have a slider of discrete levels 0 through 99, muting control, delay, lip sync compensation up to 150 milliseconds, which is perfect for, or just more than enough even, for compensating for latency. As we said, that's going to be no more than 40 milliseconds. Bass, mid, treble, 3-band EQ, and left-right balance. Now, important to note that there is no format conversion there. So if you want analog audio de-embed, then your input, your HDMI source, should be outputting 2-channel PCM into the system so that it would be compatible to output on the audio de-embed ports. That connectivity creates a perfect port to integrate in with a local amplifier. For example, so many people these days have a local amplifier. This is the KD-IP822, which you may now be familiar with from these IAVC videos, so that you can locally in the room feed into that amplifier and feed your speakers in that zone. Or of course, your encoder side with the audio de-embed for your audio equipment on the head end, DSPs, multi-zone audio systems, etc., etc. Both IP922 and IP822 support USB 2.0. The encoder has a USB-B port, and the decoder has 2 USB-A ports. You could use those USB-A ports to connect your devices, for example, keyboard and mouse. And you could even have up to 15 endpoint devices if you were to add a USB hub to that connectivity. Now, it's important to note that there is no webcam support throughout this system. So this is perfect for connectivity, the USB-B into your host computer, USB-A, again, keyboard and mouse, perfect for connectivity in an application like an operations center, where here we see 6 operating PCs, HDMI into the encoders as your 6 video sources, and 3 operator stations with IP922 DEC each, so that the PC that is chosen, the operator PCs chosen to be viewed on the operator station, whatever you are viewing is what the USB will follow with the IP922 system. So by viewing that source, now your keyboard and mouse are routing you in to those computers, so you can not only view that content, view that data, but also manipulate that data if you need to. Now, if you want to view one thing while having access to a different computer, that's a feature set of our IP1022 that we will go into. And just like we saw there depicted at the Operations Center application diagram, video wall processing. Now, video wall is each and every display requires a decoder. So here we have a 6 wide by 4 high video wall. So that's going to require 24 total decoders. And actually with the video wall processing capability, it's built into each and every decoder. There's no external boxes needed in order to achieve that. And we could support video walls up to 16 wide and 16 high. You can do portrait mode with screen rotation, 0, 180, 270 degrees. So 180 is great, so that if you need to use consumer panels that may not be narrow on the bottom bezel, but are very narrow at the left, top, and right side, you can do a panel flip, similar to what we're doing on the KD VW4x4 Pro HDMI video wall processor. And really cool feature is you could build main and sub video walls. So within one main video wall, 4x6, you have the blue, purple, and orange sub video walls. And that's all very easily controlled and managed by the end user using the Key Digital app. They're able to just drag their finger to control that video wall, which is really, really impressive. And a really sought after feature leading people to use Key Digital's AV over IP system. Each IP922 encoder and decoder support feature dual LAN ports. It's a really great feature that allows you to pass through your network to a connected device. So imagine you only have one cat wire to the encoder or decoder location, but you need to provide a hardwired network connectivity to that connected monitor, for example, or source. You could do that with this system. And they also support PoE, so you could even power PoE supported devices through that LAN. Now there's a maximum of 30 watts of PoE powering, and the IP922s themselves do use 10 watts or 9 watts, so you're looking at a remaining 20 watts of power available for that connected device. Now, each 922 encoder and decoder have 3 multifunction I/O ports. This is where a lot of the value comes into this system, because there are 4 modes of usage for those ports. Now, we initially at Key Digital thought that those ports would be used as a third-party control gateway. What is a third-party control gateway? Third-party control gateway means that we envisioned any third-party control system being able to connect via the network, the LAN port, or even via any of those three I/O ports from your systems into any of those ports. And all you need is one gateway port or one gateway device for any control system to control our AV over IP system. So again, when you're dealing with AV over IP, you're not dealing with a traditional centralized matrix switch. So folks often ask, how do I control this thing? Well, any encoder or any decoder, whatever's most convenient for you, can receive IP control or RS-232 control or even IR control from your third-party control system and send us the same exact matrix switching command that we've been using for the last decade plus here at Key Digital. So chances are, if you've installed a Key Digital matrix in the past, you could use that same driver, that same profile, and not even have to reprogram that system when upgrading it to AV over IP. So that was made life very easy for our customers that use both Key Digital hardware and third-party control systems. But then there's what's especially valuable is to the folks who are partners that are using our Compass Control Pro system. They are able to leverage these 3 ports in order to create hugely capable systems that, where the equipment is exactly where you need it to be, essentially, and you don't have to add any additional hardware for master controllers from these other systems. So here's an example of a sports bar. And we have, looking at the left side, 8 satellite, 9th is the cable, and 10th is a digital signage player. On the right side, there's 15 displays, 14 plus a projector. You need to control these sat boxes via IR, let's say, cable as well. Or even realistically, those satellite boxes, DirecTV, we might control over IP. Music streaming from our partners like Denon, their HEO system, where we get full metadata, that's achieved actually via IP as well. Security panel, Honeywell Vista, ELK, DSC via RS-232, thermostats via RS and IP, lighting control over IP from some of our important partners, RS from partners as well. You might send an IR or an RS-232 to each of those displays and projector. And you have triggering of the screen for that control. And what we find is that if you've learned how to program compass control as one of our partners, you can leverage the fact that this is already built into every encoder, and every decoder is a 3-port master controller. So if you have a 10 by 15 system, you have 75 port master controller already there. And so there's no additional cost for the end users for hardware. It's really just the programming that gets added in there. And that's what makes the KD-IP922 system so very powerful, is that when you compare head-to-head pricing with our competition, yes, we are extremely competitively priced, but then you consider the fact that the control system is already built in, and you're going to have the most powerful and value-added proposal that your customers are considering. Not to mention, we also have the Key Digital app, which is a free control app that the employees at this bar restaurant can use to access and control the video routing, and so they don't have to bother the manager of the bar restaurant in order to take care of their customers in a timely manner. These 3 control ports, port 1 is not able to be RS-232. Port 2 and 3 cannot be IR sensors. So there are some various capabilities to those 3 ports that is documented in the operations manual. Just like you've come to expect with all Key Digital products, the IP922s have EDID control on the encoder side so that you can provide your desired handshake to your HDMI source, ensuring that it outputs exactly what you want for usage throughout your system. And a really brilliant feature that the IP922 system offers is that you can receive 4K signal at your encoder, and your decoders do have the ability, because they are video processors after all, we know from the video wall, for example, you have the ability to downscale incoming 4K signal to 1080p so that you can have a mix and match of 1080p and 4K capable monitors in your system. Again, optimizing the system through the feature set. So there's so much packed into the IP922s. And then, as I mentioned, we released the IP822s a few years after the IP922s. And you could see here, it looks very, very familiar, but we were able to offer less connectivity to optimize the price point of the product and overall the system, because you can mix and match with IP922s. So if you need something like audio de-embed, you could add a 922 where that is needed, but use 822s in other locations that may not require some of the connectivity that the 922 offers. So what are the major differences between the 922 system and the 822s, or 922 and 822 encoder decoder, I should say, because it could create one large system with this? Well, the 922s support video wall up to 16 by 16, whereas the 822s can build video walls up to 4 panels maximum. It could be a 2x2, a 4x1, 1x4, 3x1, 1x3, 2x1, 1x2. You get the picture. Both encoders have HDMI pass-through. The 822 system does not have a local HDMI input for localized switching. There are 3 I/O ports on the 922s, 2 I/O ports on the 822s. The 922 system does have a local 3.5 millimeter input for audio to come in on that source side. The 822 does not have it, and because there's no audio de-embed, on the 822s there's also no preamp functionality on the 822s, but that is offered on the 922 encoder and decoder. There's no dual LAN ports on the 822s, just on the 922, and there are no USB connections with the 822. An important note as well is that although you see the power connectivity of the 822 here, the power supply is not included in the box for IP822 encoder and decoder, so it requires PoE unless you are to purchase the power supply separately, which is possible as well, but we're just doing everything we can to keep this price point at a high value for you.